Welcome to the American Roadrunner Podcast.
Yep, glad y'all could join us here this evening on the American Roadrunner Podcast. Here we share spills, thrills, and chills all from the road and our adventures on our two-wheeled machines.
Hey there, I'm Brian.
And I'm Bob.
You can find us online at AmericanRoadrunnerTheBook.com. On Facebook, we're at American Roadrunner The Book. On Instagram, at American Roadrunner. That is all one word. Any comments? Give us a holler. AmericanRoadrunnerTheBook at gmail.com, at AmericanRoadrunnerPodcast.com, and all things we do are built around the book, aptly named American Roadrunner by Bob Marshall, on Amazon, paperback, ebook, and coming soon on audiobook.
And I'll tell you what, the exciting thing about having a website is we get to share good stories. I've had a lot of inquiries the last several days about exactly how to do that. Just for a recap, the answer is you go on the website, you go into the section that says story sharing. It'll give you all the 411, but at the end of the day, feel free to type out whether it's 200 or 2,000 words. Email it to us, and I'm happy to edit it, and we'll put it up in our story sharing section. So it's a win-win.
Today, we have a couple of guests. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Amanda Weilbacher.
And I'm Autumn Taposic, or Tapioca.
Cool. Welcome to the podcast.
I like tapioca. That sounds yummy.
Do you know what the background with your last names are?
It's Czechoslovakian.
Oh, really? I would have never guessed. How about you? German?
She sounds fancy, yeah, German.
Thought so. Cool.
Sehr Deutsch.
So,
Exactly.
Bob, what brings them to the podcast today?
So these two young ladies have been kind enough to grace us with their presence at the open mic bike nights that we've been having the last several months here in downtown Riverside, the last Thursday of every month over at the Hideaway Cafe on Main and Mission.
That is fun.
It always is a good time, and they always have a ton of great stories to share. So finally, I just asked them to come on and share their stories of themselves being fairly new riders. Not terribly new riders, not amateur, somewhere in the intermediate area, novice/intermediate area. And boy, their stories are always terribly exciting, so it was nice to invite them on.
Yeah. Now, you are both here together. Why are you here together?
Well, we're dating. So Autumn's my
She's my
girlfriend
girlfriend.
of 2 years.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I just celebrated 2 years on the 5th.
Well,
Did
good
ya?
for you.
All right, well
That's
done.
awesome.
Congrats.
Thanks.
First year's the hardest.
Really?
That's what I've heard.
Yeah, that's
Every
what I've
year's the
heard,
hardest
too.
for me. So where do
Getting
you
by.
two meet?
So we actually met at Starbucks. We both worked there. She was a barista, and
she was my boss.
Yes, so she was a barista at a store that I got moved to. And that's actually kind of how our whole bike thing, riding on two wheels together came to be. I showed up the first day on my Ninja 650. I rode that bike everywhere, absolutely everywhere. And so I showed up and I parked it in front and apparently made an impression.
I thought she was badass.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh.
And you didn't ride at that time.
No, I only rode dirt bikes. And I hadn't ridden my dirt bike in about 4 years.
Very cool. So what spawned you to keep riding and get together and ride some more? Now you're both on street bikes, so...
Well, being the boss, I wasn't, I was like, I'm not
The boss.
Going. I know, I
She
was
was
the
a square.
boss. I was a total square, and I was like, I don't hang out with, baristas because I'm not allowed
Wow.
to do that.
Conflict
I
of
wasn't
interest.
allowed to
Oh,
do
okay,
that. But
okay.
then she walks up to me and she goes, after obviously I knew her a little bit from working with her, she goes, so I have this dirt bike. And I don't know if it'll start.
I
You
knew
want-
it
you
would
wanna come-
start with enough kicking.
She's like, you want to come help me? And I couldn't say no. And that's where our friendship began, as me showing up to her house again on that same Ninja 650 to try to help her get her YZ125 started. And that's kind of where it began.
So
Nice.
you're just friends first that like rode for a while, and then eventually you just said, "Hey, this is cool. Let's hang out a little more."
In essence, yeah. Good friends led to a little
Basically.
bit more.
You know, I
Good job.
honestly, like, I've always kind of wondered, like, how you do that, being in a relationship with somebody of the same sex. Like, how do you go about, like, dropping the signals and stuff like that? So,
For lesbians, it's really, really confusing.
I
Not
bet.
if you both ride, though. It's like, just let's go for a ride, right?
But I didn't ride at that time. I didn't ride street at that time.
The dirt bike counts.
So
Yeah.
did
It
you
does
start
count.
to ride just so you could be with her?
Well, actually, I started riding street about a year after we had been officially together. So I would ride her bike occasionally illegally on the street, like just around the...
Illegally.
illegally.
We don't do illegal things around here, young lady.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Don't call the cops on me.
Ah!
But we actually shared my 125. So we shared gear, boots, the bike. So I'd ride for a couple of laps, jump off, take the boots off. She'd put the boots on, go jump
Nice.
on. And then we
Nice.
eventually got her a bike. And we would go out to the track and go to the desert. And then I was like, I want to get my M1. So I
Right.
did. And then...
Did you guys take the class together then, the M1 class? Or?
No, I had my license before. We met.
Okay.
She was way
Hey,
cooler.
I'm stupid. What's an M1 class?
Nice. Here comes Brian.
I'm the one that you got to educate.
No, that's fine. So I actually took a course. I think it was put on by CHP. That was
Yeah.
the California Motorcycle Safety
Yeah.
something or another safety program. Safety.
I think it falls
course?
under the acronym of CMF, California
Yeah.
Motorcycle Foundation.
Foundation.
And they're the
That's
ones
it.
Yeah,
that's
that's
it.
that credit and host
Mhm.
the actual riding schools.
So I did a total of 2 days.
Right.
I would do classroom sessions in the morning where they teach you all about safety. It's kind of like driver's ed in an essence.
Okay.
But then in the
But way
afternoon, we'd all go in the class would all go out there and we'd all be excited. And there were some people that had some experience and some people only had experience on the dirt. And then there were people like me that had zero experience. And I got put on a Honda Rebel.
Perfect.
And we went rolling around basically just a parking lot
Right.
all afternoon. I had a blast, considering the fact that I had never been on a bike. It was nothing but a positive experience. But the cool thing about taking the class is not only does it educate you about basic riding skills, and they give a very strong disclaimer that you're not actually ready to ride on the street when you're done with this course, but who's actually going to believe them? And once you're done with the course, you don't have to take the riding portion of your Class M1
Right.
driver's license. So I
The
have
class certifies you, and then from there you go to the DMV and you get to just take the written test, which I hear some people fail the first time they
I
try
did.
to write. Oh, that's good.
I did
too. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the class, you don't have to take the class if... I mean, what I'm saying is... even if you don't own a motorcycle and you don't intend to ride a motorcycle, can you still take the class for fun?
Oh yeah.
Like,
It
that'd be
is
something
good
cool to
weekend
do?
fun.
Sure.
Yeah.
I've seen bachelorette parties out there.
What?
That's
Yeah, and people
awesome.
debate. They're like, should we go skydiving this weekend or should we go learn to ride motorcycles?
That's
so
awesome.
they go learn to ride motorcycles.
Hey, it's safer than the indoor trampoline park, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah, big time. Well, and
It
it's
was-
something everyone should do.
It was
Yeah.
great too because obviously those bikes probably just get beaten to shit all the time.
Right,
They
use their bikes.
There was no you use their bikes.
Their
There's no
helmets,
headlight,
yeah.
no turn signals, no mirrors, no nothing. It's literally just like an engine and handlebars and a seat. And they're like, all right, now try not to
Rock and roll.
So it's like a motorcycle petting zoo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get to
Okay.
try them out.
Feed the goats.
They had a
okay.
few. I did mine over at the Honda with my pops. Boy, that was probably 18 years ago now. Maybe 15 years. I don't even remember.
I thought he was going to say 1800s.
It was back in the 1800s. We were getting, but
They were
the
first
bottom,
invented.
right. They were made of wood back then. So the the fun of it all was for me doing something with my pops. Unfortunately, my pops was a speed reader, so they'd give us 20 minutes to do an activity in the book, and he'd have it done in 3 or 4. And that was always pretty frustrating, I think, for the instructors. But yeah, we just did like half a day of paperwork and then the other day and a half. And that was at the Riding Center here in Colton. Is that where you took yours or you were?
Mine was at San Manuel Stadium.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very
so,
cool.
Autumn, how long have you been riding?
I officially got my license in October of 17, but I got my bike in January of last year.
And Amanda, how long have you been riding?
I started riding in the summer of 2015.
And what do you ride, Autumn?
I ride a 2017 Triumph Bonneville T100 Black.
Beautiful. And how about you, Amanda?
I ride a 2017 Kawasaki Z900.
Cool.
Little diversity there.
Yeah. Yeah.
We like to keep it interesting.
Yeah.
Don't have too much of the same thing.
Do you guys ever do the switcheroo?
I don't want to ride her bike.
Really?
No.
Every time I see her bike, I really want to ride it. I'll tell you what, that thing looks exciting.
I'll probably die on it.
I've ridden her bike up and down the street, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Our bikes are our babies, and I think we're both 100% okay with that. I wouldn't mind riding her bike, but I love my bike from the bottom of my heart.
Yeah, same.
And so, Amanda, you've been riding longer. How many bikes have you had?
Oh, here we go. So I've had 3 bikes.
Okay.
The first bike was my Ninja 650, and I had that one until I got a little ballsy and decided to slide it down the road. And instead of getting that bike fixed, I was like, oh, well, this bike, I didn't want this one anyway. I wanted
Nice.
this ZX6R anyway. So for a while, I had the 2 bikes. I had the busted 650, and then I had a ZX6R.
Nice.
And that bike was my dream bike. Still probably is, but that bike and I were not good for each other. I was riding around, and keep in mind had only been riding for about a year and a half or so when I got the ZX6R, and I was riding around like, I was
Doing 130 on the freeway.
Or I was supposed to be on a track, like that. I was really racing everything out there and didn't think about potential implications of that, and ended up getting in a pretty bad accident on that bike, totaling that bike. Got back on the 650 for a little bit, and then eventually got that one fixed up, traded it in, and got my Z900.
So they got this thing that's called land speed racing, and you can take all those bikes out there and go as fast as you want in a straight line.
That sounds like my dream, but
Yeah.
unfortunately, that's not the opportunity that I had, and yet.
Yeah.
No,
Like
don't
that.
tempt me with a good time. And no, I made some poor decisions and didn't realize my inexperience with all the hazards of the road.
So, Amanda, you've had 3 bikes. Autumn, how many bikes have you had?
My current bike.
Your current bike is
Good
your first
job.
bike?
Yep.
What's your next bike going to be?
Ooh, I haven't thought of that.
You can have more than one. They aren't girlfriends.
Yeah.
You
That's
can have more than one.
That's
You've
true.
seen my backyard.
That is true.
His backyard is full of a lot of girlfriends.
Right. No, bikes, not girlfriends.
Oh,
The girlfriends are buried in the backyard,
Oh.
not
Does
where the
Annette
bikes
know?
are. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
She's helped me with some of them.
Interesting. Okay.
That's why her and I are like that.
I think if anything, I would get a T120. So same
Nice.
bike, just a 1200 rather than
Right.
the 900 that I currently have. Because I love that bike. It's so comfy. The stance is exactly what I want, and it's just a pretty bike.
Yeah, you look good on it.
Thanks.
Yeah.
You know what? I've never ridden, but as soon as I saw you pull up, I was like, I like that. I could see myself on one of those.
Oh, they
You
they
need to
haul
get a
butt.
bike.
I've been hauling butt down the highway before, just thinking like, all right. And then one of those passed me like I'm standing still. I think, okay, that's great.
I definitely can't keep up to Amanda, though. She'll take
Sure.
off, and I'm pinning it at like 90, and
Well,
I'm like, oh my God.
Kawasaki, that's all I can say.
I didn't say I don't still have a need for speed. Just in a little bit less risky way now.
Do you ever, do you really have that fear of riding like next to each other as some couples may or may not do? I know.
Or being in accidents. Do you
Right, when you're
throw
riding
caution to the
together.
wind?
I mean, obviously, there's a certain level of risk
Yeah.
that you take on every time you get on an engine on top of 2 wheels. And especially on a road where there's cars and there's animals that can pop out in front of you and there's potholes in the road. There's all sorts of risks out there. But I think that as long as you're smart, you got your gear on, you manage those risks and you realize that those risks exist, but honestly, it's worth it. It's worth it to me. I'm always going to ride, and I would never discourage anybody from getting on a motorcycle that really wants to, because I think it's life-changing.
I agree.
Well, your brain has to move a bit more, and the numbers are pretty simple. You're 60% more likely to die in a motorcycle accident compared to a car accident. You're 3% likely to die in a car accident if you're in an accident. So the answer is really, let's just round up, let's say it's 5% instead of 3%. I'm pretty golden with that number myself. I don't
like
worry
that
about
number.
it. too
Sounds
much.
great. Yeah, I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Autumn, you ever been in an accident?
Knock on wood, no, I have not.
No
Nope.
motorcycle accident, but anything else? Any other?
I have had a couple of dirt bike accidents.
Oh, dirt bikes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I crashed out at a track out in Paris back in 2012 and broke both of my ankles at the same time.
See, this is why I just don't. I can't do that. I had I had that wonderful roommate for a while from Texas, and she was an off-road racer. And I mean, she'd just fly through the air like it was nothing. And
Oh,
I
it's
just
so
could
fun,
never
though.
do that.
It's so
No, I
fun.
know. I tried it a few times, and it was nice, but I'm good just, that's a little too, I'm good just racing, doing my illegal chopper cross-country racing.
Just keep it on the ground.
Those things
Thought we
like
don't do
that,
illegal
land speed
things
racing.
here.
No, you don't. I do.
Okay.
See how
okay.
that works.
Double standard.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Are you two in a motorcycle riding group?
I mean, we have a couple of friends that we ride with. So
Okay.
unofficially, I guess.
Well, it was nice to see y'all at the IE Litas party.
That
the
was a
other
lot
night.
of fun.
What is the IE Litas?
Ladies?
So the Litas is like a motorcycle social group for girls. There are different chapters all over the world. There's the IE Litas, the Orange County Litas. There's Litas in Colorado, New York, wherever. And it's basically a chapter, and you just go out and ride and do fun things together. And so there was a meetup at Annette's house on Saturday, was it? And we had a bonfire, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. Good number of girls came out and hung out.
Talked about future events and stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
so many future events.
So it's like a good get together for women who ride.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, I guess, would you need that kind of camaraderie? You know, are there a lot of women that ride motorcycles?
There's a lot of women that ride, but that don't really know other women who ride.
Okay.
Like, it's kind of because we had each other, so it was easy, but we didn't know any other girls that rode. And so we found out about open mic bike night, and we were like, let's go, let's check it out. And then we ran into Bob, and then Becky showed up, and a couple other girls did, and we were like, oh, this is super cool. And then she met somebody at Starbucks when she was still working there, Alicia, and
The other A.
the other A.
We kind of call y'all the A's in case you haven't.
Oh, that's a beautiful thing.
Right. Are any of the A's showing up?
The A team.
Exactly. Y'all be the A team.
Yeah, except for Kelsey.
Which one of you is
No.
Mr. T?
Kelsey don't count. You let Kelsey be Mr. T. She's going to kick my ass.
Kelsey
isn't she?
from our fourth podcast.
Right.
She just got a nickname.
Kelsey is now Mr. T. Let me
Perfect.
change that in my phone.
Perfect.
But so we met up with her, and we met Kelsey through her, and our little network just kind of grew, and we've been on a couple of rides with them to Idlewild. We went to a really cool brewery out in Anaheim. We went to Dyna Days.
The thing is, when we first started riding, we'd occasionally, you get all excited when you're a girl and you see other girls out there riding.
Nice.
We'd be like going down the street and we'd see a girl go by on a motorcycle and be like, oh my God, look, it's a girl.
Let's
and then
be friends.
Let's be friends. And,
Nice.
but we didn't know any other girls that rode. So we rode by ourselves. I mean, we had the two of us, but by ourselves 100% of the time. And it wasn't until like you had your bike for nearly a year and we found open mic bike night that we really started expanding our social circle. But we were desperate for that because we didn't really know where to go or who to talk to
Really?
find other people, other girls to ride with.
I thought there'd be like animosity or something, like you see another girl riding, you're like, no, there's only one in this town.
No, that's between fat dudes. On
Okay.
motorcycles, not girls. Just fat dudes. I'm just
No, we
kidding.
girls got to stick together.
Yeah,
And
that's
For,
great.
for me,
been
it's always when
wonderful.
I'm at a bike show and I meet another guy who's got brown hair and a red beard, and he's like, "Oh, fella Redbeard, like just the Redbeard, like we're like brothers.
The
Like,
token
let's hang
Redbeard."
out."
I did not know that was a thing.
It's right up there with being left-handed.
There can be only
But
one.
Yeah, it's
It's
a
like
rarity.
Highlander. There can be only one.
Yeah,
Duel must ensue.
Bike
jousting.
duel, yes.
I would totally.
I
do
want to
that.
find a red beard just so I can see this happen, Bob.
We're going to set up bike jousting.
I'm in.
Coming next month.
That'll be at Open Mic Back Night. We'll be right there on Mission Inn Avenue,
sign
jousting.
Close
me
it
up.
down.
I'm
Let's
in.
do it.
Let's do it.
Right in for the mission end. So there's like a lot of camaraderie between girls on bikes.
Oh, yeah. Like, if we see another girl on a bike and we're at a stoplight, we'll kind of be like, hey, and just, what's up? And
Have you
That's
tried
great.
recruiting other girls, like girls that are like on the fence, like, oh, I've always wondered about
Oh,
riding
yeah.
a motorcycle? Like, have you gotten
I-
anybody into riding?
I
probably.
did that to Autumn.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, you got to recruit somebody.
I know.
Tracy's right here. There you
Come on,
go.
Tracy, let's do this.
Producer Tracy, she's
Okay.
ready. I can see it in her eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's ready to rock and roll.
Agreed.
Sometimes that all that
She can be Mr. T.
She is pretty buff. Just don't let her drink anything.
Okay, well, we don't
I think it
drink
is.
and ride.
I think it is important in anything you do to make sure you have your group of people, and whether it be sexist, where it's all men or all women, or whether it be religious, or whether it be, in my case, racing oriented. A lot of the people I hang out with are racers and wrenchers. People who like to build weird stuff or rebuild weird stuff out of weird stuff. That's kind of my group of people that I get to hang around. But obviously, for me, the biggest fan these days has just been sharing stories, because we as a society have the ability to improve ourselves simply by riding motorcycles, whether you refer to that as traffic congestion, price of fuel, means of transportation, whatever you want to call it. Americans, by nature, are afraid of riding. They think it is advanced citizenship. In my opinion, it is not advanced citizenship. It is simply what you can do, and you have the freedom to do so. So it's okay to do so. I wish I had $1 for every $100 I saved by riding motorcycles around instead of driving my big old trucks around. So you guys are winning. Good for you.
And it's funny you say that, because I've always wanted a street bike.
Yeah.
But then I was like, I don't know. I don't think I could ever get one. And then I met Amanda, and I was like, oh, it's totally possible. So she really showed me that, yeah, you could have a bike.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad y'all are getting at it and keeping at it. You commute to work?
No.
How about you?
Occasionally.
Right.
I commute from Marina Valley to Ontario, so I go through that
Yeah.
stretch of like the 215, 60, 91, where the road's
Right.
real rough and people drive like idiots. So when I do ride to work, I go all the way through Riverside and get on after Riverside onto the 60.
Okay. Why do you
Again,
do
with the
that?
risk mitigation. Why go through that nasty area of freeway if I can just go around and
Well, in theory, freeway's safer than road. So
yeah,
what do you
but
do?
that part of the freeway is really bad.
Not if you got fear on your side.
We
I
just saw a
know.
motorcycle accident on our way over here.
Oh, yeah. I've seen car accidents, too, and I still drive cars.
I trip and I still walk.
I know. I'm kind of a jerk, aren't I? I got, like, all the answers to your fears.
I actually did ride to work every single day, but
Rain or shine.
Yeah.
rain or shine, hot or cold.
That 60 is pretty rough. You're right. Especially on
It's
some
just
of my
right through
People
bridges.
are
there.
so
I'm-
stupid there, too.
Oh, yeah.
Just
It's
slamming
so
on
many
their
things
brakes.
merging in and out, and I'm
So
like,
that's a
"Eh,
road
not
to
worth it."
avoid.
That's it. That's the only reason I avoided, just because
Are there
that
any-
one little stretch.
Any other roads you can think of that you would avoid? Like, any listeners coming through the IE, like, hey, stay away from this road or this freeway?
It's pretty much just where the 91, the 60, and the 215 all come together.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
bumpy. There's a lot of trucks go through there, so there's like all those truck
The
like-
road's torn up. There's a lot of potholes.
it curves and there's a hill, so people put on their brakes really quickly and
Right,
merge
everyone
without
thinks-
thinking. It's just other than that,
Isn't that
that's
great?
that's pretty much the area I would suggest you avoid.
Yeah,
Other than
agreed.
that, we're all right.
So there's bad roads, but then there's always good roads. Autumn, can you think of a road that's like your favorite kind of road to drive on your trip?
My favorite road is one that we recently went on, or somewhat recently. We took a ride up to Idlewild, and instead of going the 74 through Hemet, we
Right.
took the 243.
Nice.
That one was my favorite.
Nice.
I loved that. The curves, and it was beautiful, and
Good.
I mean, I think it did get kind of washed out from the rains recently, but hopefully it's repaired soon so we can go up there again.
Yeah. Do you girls see yourself like motorcycle camping or traveling to other states with the rest of us in the near
We're
future?
actually riding to Arizona with Kelsey and Alicia
Nice.
to go to a spring training game
Okay.
next month, like in 2 weeks.
Nice. How
I
you
think I'm
feeling?
gonna have to strap a pillow to my butt, either that or get like a really good gel seat or something, because my bike it's way more comfortable than a Super Sport, way more. It's part of the reason why I got it, because I wanted to be able to ride further distances.
Well, you
But
can always do the saddle rag. That's what I do.
Hey, do you think with the saddle rag you could ride 1K in a day?
Well, I do it all the time. How about you ladies? You ever think about riding 1,000 miles in one day?
how fast can I ride?
Nice. Nice. She's just going to tear it 4 hours later. She's going to be like, I'm done.
Yeah, really though.
I'm in the middle of Utah, but I'm done.
Well,
That'd be great.
We are sponsored by Ride 1K in a Day. Why don't you tell us a little bit about it, Bob?
For all those interested in adventure, The answer is, how do you challenge yourself to go above and beyond any type of motorcycle riding you've done before? So the best way for anybody who's out enjoying riding is look at the numbers and figure out how to do 1,000 miles in a 24-hour period. A lot of times it depends on your route, but you get to pick your own route and challenge yourself to do the Curtis Morgan Ride 1K in a day. Find it online, find it on Instagram. At the end of it all, it's okay to wear the patch and show off to all your friends that you've actually ridden 1,000 miles in a day. Competed and conquered. That's what Ride 1K in a day is. Thank you for asking, Bri.
So you should try it. Ride 1K in a day, 1,000 miles.
See, here's the problem. I can't back down from a challenge.
Oh, no.
Like, I'm
Perfect.
competitive to my core. Like,
Perfect.
I would never have considered riding 1K in a day until you're like, you can't do it. And then I'm like, oh, no.
She'll leave right now.
Like, okay, guys, I'll see you tomorrow.
And I think, Bob, you
24
said
hours.
it's like 18 hours usually, somewhere around there, depending on how you ride.
Some people do it exactly in 24 hours because some people like to stop and eat. Some people like to stop and spill fuel all over themselves, like Amanda here. It's happened. That's a good story. Everyone's different. You got to tell us a fuel story.
Yeah.
That was awesome. That was
Okay.
above.
My
Right.
ears are perked up. What's this
All right.
about spilling?
So I was actually on my way to open mic bike night. And I was on my way there straight from work because I didn't have enough time to get home because work sucks. So
Nice.
I had ridden to work that day, and I left work, and I suddenly realized as I was getting ready to get on the freeway that I was almost out of gas. And I was like, I might be able to make it there, but I'm not that kind of risk taker. So I was like, okay, I'll get back off the freeway and get some gas. I pull up to a gas station. Everything's completely normal. Like, there's nothing unusual in this scenario except for the fact that there was this, semi-truck driver behind me. And I was sitting there, and I was feeling it's dark, it's cold, and I was just kind of sitting there like, okay, hurry up and get my gas, It's, it's just a little bit of a sketchy area, so I wasn't really feeling super comfortable. And I look back around behind me at this truck driver, and he starts like he's gonna come try to talk to me, and I was like, what the heck? And then I felt something, and something was very cold. And I look around, and my gas tank had overflowed, and it was gasoline pouring all over my legs,
Oh my God.
all over my crotch, all down my bike,
Fire
and down
crotch.
onto the ground. And I get off, and I pull it out of my tank, and I turn it off, and there's like gasoline dripping everywhere, and I'm soaked. So,
Ding.
so then my first thought was, oh my God, I don't know. Can I turn my bike back on, or is it going to blow up?
That's
It
great.
was a genuine fear that crossed my mind. I was like, if you
Sure.
overflow a gas tank in a car, it runs down onto your rear wheel. Like, so what? I mean, it's
Yeah.
all over my bike. And my second thought was for my paint. I was like, is this going to make all the paint come off my bike? And my bike's not going to be pretty anymore. And then my
Nice.
third thought was, oh my God, my crotch is on fire.
That's right.
But I still had to get to open mic bike night, and I was looking down. It looked like I had peed my pants. This truck driver had come over, and I actually asked him that question. Turns out he was really nice, and I asked him that
Cool.
exact question. I was like, "Can I turn my bike back on, or is it going to blow up?" And he kind of looked at me with this, confused look, and he's like, "I think it's going to be okay." And I was like, "All right, here goes nothing." I turned my bike on, and obviously everything was fine.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
anybody who knows the first thing about motorcycles probably knows that I was okay, but I genuinely didn't know. So there was that fear that I had to overcome, and then I got back on the freeway, and it was just burning so bad. I rode, I think it was probably close to 15 miles, standing up on my bike to try to air my crotch out on the way to open mic bike night. I
love
walk
it.
into the building. It still looks like I've peed my pants, and I sit down next to Bob, and he goes, "Oh, you smell that good?" And that's all he could talk about the rest of the night, and that's all he can bring up anytime he
quite
sees me now. I
delicious.
sat
Watch it,
there
Bob.
smelling up the
Yes,
Hideaway
ma'am.
Cafe for like a solid 2 hours with my crotch on fire, and Bob could not have been happier.
Oh, she just smelled so like gasoline, like
A walking
speed.
fire hazard.
It was wonderful.
No flames, please.
Right. No.
Please don't light a cigarette next to me. I
Yeah.
might go up.
Literally a fire crotch. That would be very bad.
That's great. But there were no after effects at the end of it all.
No,
You
I was
were
all right. I
okay.
went home, took a shower, everything was fine. All's
Right.
well that ends well. Lesson learned is watch as you're putting gas in your tank, because it never happened before and it hasn't happened since. But it's not a risk I'm willing to take again. That was awful.
You could always stand next to your bike too when you're fueling it.
No.
I do that.
Ah.
She's weird.
You prefer. So I won't lie. Like my pops and I had the same argument. I would just stand next to the back and I'll prop it up with a knee if I want to get an extra tenth of a gallon in there or whatnot. But he would always sit on the back, and of course it would always overflow. And so the last few times it would overflow on him, he'd sit there, and he'd usually catch it just as it was hitting his nut. So I'd get the window cleaning fluid and just splash it all over him in the bike. He'd get so pissed because, of course, then like his chrome is sizzling and the engine sizzling, and because it's all unhappy with all the water. But I always assumed that was better than the raw gasoline. So in the future, if you have similar issue, just douse yourself in all
Go
that
take
window
a
cleaning
bath in the
fluid.
window cleaner.
Yeah, it
That's
works.
got to be gross. All those people dipping that thing in there all day long.
Compared to gasoline in your crotch, which one you gonna do?
At least gasoline's kind of like not going to give you a horrible bacterial
That's
infection.
hilarious. Oh my god, this is
How about
hilarious.
C? None of the above.
See,
I agree with Brian.
you can go buy a gallon of
Too
water,
logical.
maybe.
Too logical. Try again.
Purchase a gallon of water, throw it all over y'all.
Yep.
This sounds like a new ice bucket challenge or something.
Right.
The
When you
gas
spill
crotch
gasoline on
challenge.
yourself.
Kids
Swallow
were
a
eating
Tide
Tide
Pod.
Pod. Oh, God.
Well, I was real proud of you for showing up, and you smelled wonderful.
Thanks. I wouldn't have missed it. Just was a little embarrassed when I walked down into the basement. And
You
then
look-
you were like,
yeah,
and I was
That
like,
whole
oh, I'm
place.
still welcome.
The whole
That's
place
right.
smelled like gasoline.
it was wonderful.
It was awesome.
It was very exciting. Thank you very much for gracing us. Let's talk about the future. You're looking forward to doing some flat track racing, I think we talked you into, huh?
Yeah, actually, at last open mic bike night, you brought it up, and that sounds right up my alley.
What is flat track racing, if I may
Nice.
ask?
I love Bry. He's like,
'Cause I'm so
Southern
stupid.
California. No, you're fine, brother. You're fine. There's a few different types of flat track racing, but it has to do with a nice oval. You're going in an oval on a flat track, and the scoot's trying to go forward, so you end up turning right and going left. That's it. Swing the bike out, trying to keep up the speed while you're taking a good turn.
Isn't
It's-
there like no brake on it either?
Well, people
what I
have
heard.
brakes, but I've never used mine. I don't know. And I've just kind of tapped into flat track racing with the Southern California Flat Track Racing Association, where my dude and I have shown up and, done a few laps in the races. I mean, everyone's got to beat somebody. They might as well beat me and my son, but we have a good time. And the community of racers, they're just phenomenal people. There's also hooligan racing. I think that'd be a
I
lot
want
of
to
fun.
do that.
What's hooligan racing?
Yeah, it's anything 750 or bigger. A lot of guys are out there on Harley Sportsters. I know I've got a nice Honda 700. I'd love to see if I can catch up with them on, but
Why do they call it hooligan racing?
It's hooligan shit.
yeah, no clue. Everyone's
bunch
got
of
to call it
Probably
something.
because
Soccer
you
fans
gotta
from
be-
England are going to be like on motorcycles. That's what I think of when I hear hooligans.
See, I think
Yeah,
of
sure.
hooligans, and I think, well, you got to be a little bit crazy to try to drift something that's over 700 cc's.
I'd call it berserker racing. then.
There you go. Right, that'd be a good one.
Maybe that'll
too.
be our team name.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Berserker.
Later in this week, Danger Dan and I are supposed to have a good podcast chat, so I'm going to ask him that for you.
Okay. That's good.
Why is it called hooligan? But it's all good fun, and it's good entertainment, and it's good for the crowds, and it's something you can do relatively inexpensive.
So you're going to do some flat track racing then?
That's the goal.
Yeah.
Need
Good.
When and where?
need a good outlet for my competitive spirit and need to go faster than I should.
And probably cheaper
Perfect.
than a track day.
Yeah.
So Amanda, you're down.
Yeah.
Are you going to do it too, Autumn?
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, hell
Who's
yeah.
going to win?
Look at that.
Oh, no.
We'll find out. We'll come back on. We'll let you know.
Whoever doesn't look at the wall, that's who's going to win. Don't look at the wall. Don't touch the brakes. Just
Okay.
go.
Just go.
That's my
Rip the
advice.
brake off.
I don't
throw
know.
it on
She's
the
better
ground.
than I am when it's like, comes like sliding your back wheel and stuff. That kind of sketches me out still.
Is it like Mario Kart? Can you throw banana peels and
I
turtle
wish.
shells and like?
Maybe that's why it's called hooligan.
Yeah.
It could be like Mario Kart Double Dash where you have somebody sitting backwards on the back of your bike, like throwing things at other people.
Yes.
Sidecar flat tracking.
Sounds like a
I
terrible
want to be on the
time.
back.
This is great.
I want to throw bombs and
You can be on the back of my
Bananas.
bike.
yeah, get the star. You just run into other motorcycles and
This
beat
is
them all.
great.
Oh my god.
This is great. Like chariots.
Look out for that purple turtle shell.
Which would be better though, jousting or Mario Kart Double Dash?
Mario Kart all the
hooligan?
way. Let's
yeah,
do it.
because jousting,
track.
it's pretty bad news for both people because you're both getting hit. It's just one person's hitting the ground harder.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what are the jousts made out of?
Oh, we didn't.
Yeah,
Well,
and they're
it's
going to be
usually
made out
like
of wood.
wood that shatters, but still, I mean, you're getting knocked off the bike no matter what.
It's gonna hurt.
The thing
Yeah.
about regular jousting, though, is it's done on horses, and they're generally capable of keeping themselves upright.
Right. The motorcycle, not so much.
It's not going to help you
It
out
tends to
any.
do whatever you tell it to do, even
What
if
if-
that's fall over.
What if you use the joust sticks from American Gladiators, the ones that have like the two big padded sides on it? And
Oh, yeah,
just, like,
that'd be
hit each other with
perfect.
those.
Like the big
Or what you could
Q-tips?
do.
Yeah, the big Q-tips.
Q-tip jousting.
Or what you could do
This
is
is
like
great.
advertise this big jousting day and then have everybody show up with like pool noodles and then just be super disappointed and then you guys just slap each other with pool noodles.
We're putting you in charge of the games next time.
Half the people will have motorcycles, half the people will play LARP and just show up with their own like cardboard swords and shields.
This is the
I
most
think this is
ridiculous
a
podcast
wonderful
ever.
event.
Let's
is
do
great.
it.
Forget the flat track racing. Let's do this.
No, we can do both.
Okay.
We'll
This
make a
is
weekend out of
hilarious.
it.
Flat track first,
Flat
because
track
then
Friday.
you're gonna hurt yourself and break a leg if you're playing Mario Kart.
We could always get you into land speed racing too. That's a lot of fun. Although it does take a bit more of a pretty penny compared to flat tracking. So it's all in good fun. That's
Financial
for sure.
restraint is just such a downer.
Is that
Yeah.
the
It can
one?
be such a downer. You gotta, do what I do: hawk parts on eBay to pay for it. That's how I figure it out.
Is that the one where you've got the big metal boot?
No, that's flat tracking the metal boot. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Turn
it's
right,
got
go
this
left.
huge metal boot.
Yeah, let you drag with the left. It tends to help a little. But I'm on a Rebel anyways. I'm barely hanging on. I'm just, the
pin it
box
to win
move-
it.
Yeah, I'm just pinning it. It does well. I really enjoy that. I really think the Honda Rebel is the world's most perfect flat track and racing motorcycle, but I'll say that the Honda Rebel about anything. So
I have a question then.
Yes, ma'am.
If your Honda Rebel was against my KX 250F, I feel like I'm way higher up. Like my toes barely touch. Would
Mm-hmm.
you be in an advantage because you're so much lower to the ground?
no, not at all.
You
I
could probably
think-
lean it more.
It's
yeah.
like more aerodynamic.
Although my 250 that I flat track race with has like an 8.5 inch shock instead of the stock 5-inch shock. So I'm a little higher. That is, I think I robbed the shocks off of maybe an old KZ1000 or maybe a Yamaha XJ700. I robbed the shocks off of something else and put them on the bike and got it to
Sounds
lean
like we
out
need
quite
to
a bit.
Frankenstein some
So-
stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, and seriously, we'll take you out there and it's a great community and they'll tell you exactly what 80-20 tires they like to use on which tracks, or maybe they have a 50-50 tire, or what air pressure they run them out. Whatever you're racing, the formulas are kind of already there. So if you just ask around, and everybody's so nice, they're so gracious.
Motorcycle people are crazy about their tires, though.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It makes that much of a
took my
difference?
I took my Z900 to a track day at the Auto Club Speedway.
Nice.
That was really where it's at. Like if I was made of money, that's what I would do
The GP,
literally all the
yeah,
time.
Yeah.
But people there, I mean, we had part of what I did was the rider development school. So I
Cool.
actually had an instructor who was following behind me and giving me some tips and how to lean off the bike. And
Oh, he's like in your ear, like on a comm system.
no,
Oh.
he rides behind you, he shadows you, and he takes a GoPro video of you the whole time. And then you go back into the classroom and you discuss it. And
See, I
we had
wanna
an
get on
entire
that.
section just on tires and different kinds of tires and
Right.
how much tire pressure to use and how your tires wear as they heat up and cool down and
Right.
racing slicks versus everything else. And there's so many just for a track, and then there's so many for dirt bikes, and then you've got your enduros and you've got your flat tracks. I mean, you could just be a tire expert and do that.
Oh
for
no,
your
yeah,
living.
land speed racing. We got to shave them to get all the excess tread off of them, because when you're going so fast, they'll expand so much. Anyways, just to keep them up to speed rating, I got to shave my tires. So yeah,
Well, if you ever need
Never
some,
heard.
if I would totally try land speed racing. That'd be.
Yeah,
I would.
it's a
I
good
might.
one.
That sounds great. Never mind. I'd
It
probably
is
love
great.
it. I was gonna pretend like I was gonna be nervous for a second. I was like, no, I'd actually.
No,
probably
No,
be
Be balls
balls to
listen,
the wall.
no, you're going fast and straight. No one's cross tracking you. You got ambulances there. It really is the safest racing I do.
As long as the
That's
ambulances
key.
are there,
Yeah.
I'm
Safety
down.
net,
There's nothing
parachute.
hardcore
Right.
about it. It's just a big science project on how fast we can get the motorcycle to go.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, that's all it is. And it's good family fun. We're out camping. I'm only on the motorcycle for a few minutes. Other than that, I'm camping with my dudes. So
That's
my
awesome.
crew chief.
Do you have any spare tires that you're not using?
Well, I'm sure I got 20 or 30 of them, but
Where do you put the
Yeah.
spare tire on your motorcycle?
That's hilarious. Well, I like to put it in my tool bag, and it depends if it's a mag or if it's a spoke. Chances are it's going to be a mag, so chances are I'm going to have some sticky worms to fill in any holes, and then I'm going to have an air compressor, a small air compressor I can plug into the cigarette lighter, and or a small can of goop and air. Now, I like the goop idea. The problem is, we all know, as soon as I goop it, I'm going to be the one taking it apart, and I'm going to have to deal with goop all over the place. So
That doesn't sound fun.
no. So far, but 9 times out of 10, if you got a leak or something, it's just the Schrader valves comes loose, or the seal between the tire and the rim has come a little out of whack. So you just clean it up with soap. It's golden. But
It's all alien to me. Autumn, do you know much about motorcycle maintenance?
I like to pretend that I do. Most of it's just watching YouTube and trial and error.
Like, if you broke down on the side of the road, do you think you could get your bike to where you need to?
Depends on how serious it was. If
Yeah.
it was like something inside the engine, probably not.
Yeah. How about you, Amanda?
She's far better at it than I am.
I like to put on a really good face that I know what's going on, but it's
Nice.
really just a face, and I do the same thing. I go right to YouTube.
Like, if it makes a sound, do you know what it is?
No, but on my 650, I actually had a story of kind of breaking down on the road. It was the stupidest thing, but I decided I was gonna change out the brake levers. So I went and I got really, both the brake and the clutch. So I went and I got really nice brake and clutch levers. They were ASVs. Everybody assured me they would work perfectly for my bike. I had never changed out a brake or a clutch lever before, but I was like, yeah, I mean, it seems simple enough. I can figure this out. So I watched a YouTube video and put them on there and rode off, and everything was great and everything was fine. But then the weather started warming up, and my brake lever, and I mean, Bob, you actually probably could help me out with this to know exactly what went wrong.
Yeah.
But there was basically pressure building up, and when it was hot and there was pressure building up, my front brake would lock up on the road. So the first time it happened, I was on my way home from work because it had been cool in the morning when I rode to work, and then when I left, it was hot, and I didn't know what had happened, and I locked up in the middle of the road, and I couldn't even get my bike off the road. I fortunately had like this good Samaritan guy who came and he knew how to wiggle my bike along the road on its kickstand, because you literally, even in neutral, couldn't roll it backwards or forwards.
Wow, that's a bummer.
To make a long story short, that time I just decided to take and put my original brake and clutch lever back on. I was like, just forget it. I'll just have these nasty, OEM ones, hanging on from my bike. It's whatever.
I always wrap my levers in hockey stick tape. They look really cool.
That's a good idea.
Huh.
Yeah, it works really well. I put that shit on everything. Hockey stick tape. Yeah.
And it holds pretty well?
Yeah, it just gives you something to grip onto, so when you grab it with your fingers, no matter what,
Because I'm
you
sick
get a
of
good
my
grip.
silver levers, and I want
Oh,
some
yeah.
black ones, but I don't
I'll
want to
show
drop
you in the
$230
backyard.
on
Yeah.
it.
Do it tonight.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, I might have some extra hockey stick tape I can rent you or lease you.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your
okay.
interest rate, though?
Just, I kind of buy them by the 6-pack rolls. Yeah, I use hockey stick tape for everything. That works real well. But no, you're right. That is a problem.
But I didn't know at that point it was the heat, and it was really kind of a system of trial and error because nobody could really tell me what was going on, and I didn't have enough connections to know who to ask.
Sure.
So it was through trial and error that I finally figured out that it was the heat that was building up that pressure. So one day, to test my theory, I left my bike out at the end of the driveway and went out and got on and rode all the way down the road and got all the way to like the stoplight, and it did it again, and I was like, God damn it, it's a busy intersection. And I ended up having to, I knew what was going on this time though, so I had a flathead screwdriver, and I just basically took my front brake off and then rode back using my back brake. But again, that's how I do. That's not maintenance. That's more or less, trial and error. But that's
Experimentation.
It's experimentation. But that's how I learned things about my bike. And basically, what I eventually found out was that the plunger that comes out of the brake lever and the little hole that it goes into on the actual lever itself, they didn't fit. So it was basically pushing in my brake ever so slightly, just enough that it was causing that pressure to build up. But it took quite a while to figure that out. But that's how I do maintenance. I do all my own oil changes, and
Yeah.
I figured out how to clean out a carburetor and rejet it on the dirt
Nice,
bikes. And
good.
but
She's
again,
done all the work on my bike too, like swapping out the turn signals and everything.
Well, now I know why you got her as a girlfriend. Does all
Girlfriend
the-
and mechanic.
There you go.
Lucky.
Do you ever
don't
worry
let me
about
touch your bike.
You ever worry about like breaking down or anything like that on the side of the road?
No,
No.
I mean,
You're
if,
good to go.
Yeah, your scoots are pretty righteous.
No,
and
here's
new,
what
so-
happens. See, I'm very much of a risk taker, and I'm more than willing just to break down on the side of the road and move it to the side and be like, hey, can somebody come pick me up if I've made a mistake? Autumn rides frequently with a tool roll in front of her bike that she doesn't know what
to
to do with
use.
it, but she's
looks
got
cool,
it.
though.
She's ready. She's prepared.
I'm-
She doesn't know what to do with this
she
information.
gives me
but she's
shit for it all
prepared.
the time, but I'm
Nice.
prepared with my tool roll, my kickstand pad. I
Nice.
have a map in there, and yeah,
That's
she
bitchin'.
needed one time, and I was like, here you go.
I was gonna use a rock, but she pulled out a kickstand pad for me too,
Well,
and I
yeah,
was
you
like,
could
all
use
right.
a beer can. You
We
could
didn't have a
use
beer can on us,
Oh,
so
a beer can. What kind of? You could also use, Bob's Road Balm container. That makes it good.
well, I mean, if I had one, I could. Use
Looks like
it,
a hockey puck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
anything that looks like a hockey puck can work.
But I have kickstand pads that I keep in my little bag, so I'm prepared.
See, it's why I
Nice.
keep her around.
Good job. Good
Works
job.
out.
Because otherwise, how would I get myself out of these
You're
situations?
made for each other.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Ladies, we appreciate you being here with us.
God, it's been fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, honestly, I came in and I was super nervous because
Cool.
when I'm in front of a camera, there's a video camera or like a regular photo, I forget how to use my arms. So I really came in here with the intention of sitting on my arms the whole time. And
Nice.
it was fun enough that I forgot about my arms.
She
for a
was
while.
legitimately stressed.
Well, in case you haven't noticed, Brian and I have faces for radio.
Yes, we do.
So the podcast works well. You won't catch
like
us
it.
on anything that looks like a television.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us, ladies.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Again, you can find us online at AmericanRoadrunnerTheBook.com, Facebook at American Roadrunner The Book, on Instagram at American Roadrunner. That is all one word, American Roadrunner. You can email us at AmericanRoadrunnerTheBook@gmail.com. This podcast can be found at AmericanRoadrunnerPodcast.com. And of course, don't forget to pick up the awesome book, American Roadrunner by Bob Marshall. We are sponsored by Ride 1K in a Day, Flying Dutchman Co., and Bowmonster.com. Take it away.
It's about to get really exciting. I know next week we're going to be chatting with Curtis Morgan and Ride 1K in a Day via phone. We're also going to be having a good chat with Danger Dan. He does a nice podcast called Shop Talks, if you ever heard of that one. So we're pretty excited about the near future. Thank y'all for having us and letting us share. Enjoy the road. Be good to each other. Life short. Race it.
Yeah.